In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 6 things that I've learned over the past 6 years of competing in men's physique bodybuilding. So from a young age, from maybe 20 years old, I've been competing in some form or another, whether it's competing against the system or competing in kickboxing. I have amassed medals and trophies and national titles and things like that. And you know, that was my sense of purpose for a long time until it wasn't no longer. I remember the last fight I had, I was 32 years old, and in the last round of the fight, I got knocked unconscious, and you know, this was something that led to me, along with a lot of other factors, led to me just leaving the sport altogether in terms of competing. I never stopped training, but I stopped competing. I was ripped off by the promoter, and I didn't get the money that I was owed for the fight. And in the end, I thought, what is the point in this, you know? I'm there taking hits to the head for people's entertainment while they get drunk and, you know, try and pull me out of the ring and get me back to my feet again. And I thought, this is it, no more of this. So for a couple of years, I was lost and I had nothing to focus on. And imagine competing all your life and then just all of a sudden having nothing to compete with, you know? I was kind of lost for a little while. I suffered a bit of depression, and you know, I was up and down, and I felt like I was just meandering through life. So I'd always had a keen interest in bodybuilding and you know, getting lean, and I'd never actually truly been shredded at that point. So I decided that I would enter a competition, and the funny thing was, it wasn't even about the competition to begin with. I was working at Body Power, one of the biggest fitness expos there is in Birmingham in England, and I was working on my friend's company stall. He owns Exego, and he had me working there for the weekend, and I met a young Ross Dickerson, who you might be familiar with. He used to come over to our stall every morning to get a pump on before walking around with his shirt off, and I remember saying to him cheekily, but this is the one thing that sparked it off, I remember saying to him, right, you see this pass that you've got around your neck? Next year I'm going to be walking around this building with one of those passes. And that was my actual motivating factor. Not to compete on stage, but just to walk around with this athlete's pass on and my false tan and everything. So that kick-started the whole thing for me. Now this brings me to lesson number 1. Lesson number 1 is that getting shredded is fucking hard work. It is hard work. It is ridiculously hard work. And it is a very psychological thing, you know. For me, the training, that's the easy part, you know. I've trained the past 25 years, at least 4 times a week, and it's as natural for me training as brushing your teeth is for you. So the diet side of things is where it's very difficult, and if you're not self-aware and you're not quite strong mentally, it can lead to problems down the line. So lesson number 1 is getting shredded is very, very difficult. Lesson number 2 is that cardio does not need to be done at 5 a.m. in the morning on a treadmill. It is counterintuitive to life, you know. I was miserable for the first couple of competitions maybe in my life. I was getting up in the morning, I was walking straight downstairs, putting my hood up, getting on a treadmill, and pounding away on the treadmill for 45 minutes until the only benefit of that is that I wasn't kind of awake when I did my cardio, so I didn't actually, you know, notice that I was doing the cardio, but I did actually burn through a couple of treadmills, actually doing this every single morning, pounding away on the treadmill. And only when I came later on to the 3rd and 4th competition, I thought, I can no longer do this to myself. And I actually found out that, you know, sleep is very beneficial, and you don't have to actually, I was putting my cardio in where I could fit it in within my day, and what mattered the most was total calorie burn and not actually fasted cardio. So it did absolutely nothing for me extra to get up at 5 a.m. and do my cardio then. But there is this stigma in bodybuilding that you must suffer more than somebody else, and it's all about the suffering, you know, and then you will win. But it didn't work out for me like that. Doing my cardio whenever I wanted to do my cardio was much better for me. Lesson number 3 is to pick your battles, you know. My first competition that I did was with the UK BFF. At the time, it was one of the biggest organisations going, and I chose Body Power to compete at, and there was like 35 guys in my category. Bearing in mind I was like 33 years old at the time. Some of the people on the stage there were like 22, so one respect you could think that I had an advantage, in another respect, in my head it was a young person's game. Okay, I even tried to grow my hair back one time to compete with these boys. And I'm going to insert a photograph here because if you see, I really didn't have much hair, just had like a thin little strip here, but I thought that's what they wanted. I covered my tattoos up because they frown upon tattoos and stuff. And, you know, I remember, who was I? How naive was I to think that I could just go into my first competition and enter the biggest competition, stand in front of, there's like 2,000 people there on the day, stand in front of these people and compete with these other guys. And it wasn't until, I mean, I was in really good shape for myself, you know, but it wasn't until I got backstage and had a look around that I thought, holy shit, some of these guys are monstrous, mate. And they've got like at least a stone on me, and they're actually leaner than me right now, you know. And I remember getting on stage, and I remember looking down the line. I remember that you're supposed to smile at the judges, you know, and look at the judges and give them all your attention, but not one of them was giving me any attention whatsoever. And I thought, what are they all looking at? And I look down the row towards the end, and I can see there's Romain Lansford, who probably needs no introduction if you're watching something like this, stood at the end there, and they were all looking at him. And I think he won on that day, and he was in phenomenal shape. So, you know, pick your battles. From that point, I realised that I'm flogging a dead horse, entering a competition with 30 other people who were all 10, 15 years younger than me. So I ended up finding a smaller show and entering a smaller show, and lo and behold, I placed in the top 4 within my first competition, and then I went on to compete in the nationals and won that actual competition on that day. And I was competing against 7 people, not 37 people. So pick your battles. So lesson number 4 is that competing can be a massive mind game, you know, and once you have been competition lean, you will never actually feel lean again. I've lost count of the amount of people that have said to me in the past, you know, competitors that have said to me, I wish I'd have just stayed fat and happy. And they weren't fat in the beginning, but what they mean is that they'll never ever be as lean as they were at that competition. So a case in point is that after the last competition, the one that I won in the men's physique over 35s category, after that competition I booked a photo shoot and I travelled down to Wales for the photo shoot. It was literally 7 days after the shoot, okay? It's 7 days after the shoot, but obviously I've been eating pizza, I've had some ice cream, I've had chocolate, all the stuff that I restricted before, I've kind of gone and had, you know, in that week. So when I went to this photo shoot, I actually didn't believe that I was lean at all, okay? So I just thought, I'm gonna go and I'm going to humour the photographer. I'm going to sit there, and when he comes back and shows me the photographs, I'm just going to say, yes, I like them, just so I can get it over with and then get on with the rest of the weekend, you know, because I brought my wife all the way down there. So I remember he comes over with the camera, with the first photograph, and I remember I was blown away by how good the photograph looks, and I was confused by this because I didn't class myself as lean. Now I look back at that and I think, God, how messed up is that a week after I competed, I didn't think I was lean, even when I'm lean now, you know. But if you're not careful, you can end up in a bad place mentally. So you've got to take care, you've got to be self-aware, and you've got to know that this kind of stuff will happen. Lesson number 5 is that carbohydrates are my friend. So when I was younger, in my 20s, whenever I wanted to get lean, I would cut the carbs and I would get lean. Lo and behold, I would get lean, you know. Little did I know at the time it was more to do with creating a calorie deficit than it was to do with actually, you know, cutting the carbs. But I always believed that cutting carbs got me lean, and that's how I got lean, because carbs made you fat. You know, I had that belief that carbs made you fat, which is ridiculous now. I'm laughing at myself when I say it, but if you've always got lean by doing something, you always believe that that's the way to get lean. But eventually I realised that carbs are actually my friend. They give me energy for the workouts that I was doing. I was getting better quality workouts when I kept the carbs in. Guess what? I actually got leaner whilst keeping carbs in. Now, I did deplete carbs in the last week, but depleting carbs in the last week, the peak week they called it, before you jump on stage, is more of a tactical thing. You know, the whole point of doing that is to deplete muscle glycogen and liver glycogen, and then go and fill it up again in order for you to take in carbohydrates into your muscle, and then hopefully draw more water from under the skin into the muscle. That way, when you get pumped up, you blow up and look massive on stage. So there is some carbohydrate restriction in the last week, but know that carbohydrates are your friend. They keep you thinking straight and they keep you training great. Oh, they keep you thinking straight and they keep you training great. I like that. Lesson number 6 is that it's you versus you. At the end of the day, when you get on stage, what can you do about another person's genetics? Nothing. What can you do about another person? The way they look, basically, you are going to get on the stage, in your underpants, and a whole host of other people are going to get on the stage in their underpants as well. You're all going to paint yourself a mahogany colour. You're going to stand there, you're going to smile at the judges, and you're going to tense as hard as you can, okay? And you're going to have done everything, as long as you've done everything you can possibly do up until that point. All you can do is stand on stage and present what you have, you know? So it's purely subjective. Basically, there's going to be a bunch of old guys sat in front of you and they're going to go, he looks better than him at the end of the day. So what can you do about that? Nothing. So you can make it all about yourself. You can train to be better than you were last time. I've been at competitions before now and seen people trying to like outstare me and stuff, you know, like trying to be intimidating and that, you know, looking at you from a distance like they're gonna, I'm like, we're not fighting here, mate, we're gonna stand on the stage in our underpants, chill the fuck out, okay? I've seen people backstage with the headphones on, you know, getting in the zone like they're Eminem from 8 Mile about to spit some lyrics in front of 300 people, you know. I find that quite funny at the end of the day. We're not fighting, we're not battling, we're going to stand in front of a load of people and they're going to say, he looks better than him at the end of the day. So don't take your placing to heart, just continue to try and improve and be better than you were last time and just enjoy the day, you know. At the end of the day, if there's one thing I would say that teaches you more about yourself than anything, it's actually getting rid of all your body fat. You will learn so much about yourself if you do, and you'll become so much more self-aware. So if you like this video, you like the little stories there, give me a like, hit the subscribe button, there's going to be more to follow, and thanks for watching.